Hello and welcome to the Imagine Crafts YouTube channel. My name is Lynn, or LV Handcrafted, and today I am going to create some ombre papers to die cut from. The first method I'll show is using Kaleidacolor ink pads. So this one in particular is called Caribbean Sea, and as you can see there are actually 5 separate ink pads, and there's a little thumb notch on that rounded end, and that allows you to push the 5 individual ink pads together and pull them apart. So what's great is they get shipped separate, but when you go to use them, you can put them together and, as I'm doing here, swipe them to create a solid ombre. And I just think that's really fabulous because it gives you the ability to create some beautiful custom papers. You can actually ink up a sentiment or an image and have this nice ombre as well. And when you're done, you can pull those ink pads apart, and that way the color won't bleed because they won't be touching each other. Now, what I've done is put my paper onto my scoring tool here, and the reason for that is because that thumb notch that you use to pull and push the ink pads apart or separate, that's actually raised above the ink pad that's closest to it. In this case, it's the green. So in order to make sure that that green ink pad will actually touch the paper, it needs to be raised or lifted a little bit so that that thumb notch can dip down below the paper. So that's the only reason why I did that. The second way I'll create some ombre paper is to just do a direct to paper swiping of these VersaMagic Dew Drop inks. Oh my gosh, look how creamy and juicy these inks are. So what I like to do is swipe out my 3 colors, and then I just add a little bit extra ink to the edge and use them across and into the neighboring colors. So here my colors are going from left to right: Mango Madness, Red Magic, and Pink Grapefruit. And as you can see, the VersaMagic inks, they're so nice. It's a nice pigment. It still dries actually fairly quickly, but it does sit on the surface and it takes just a moment to dry, so that gives you a lot of time to blend and move that ink around. And as you can see, I smushed on a little bit of extra ink just so that I can pull that into the neighboring color. And on this ombre, I've got, again, the same Mango Madness, Tea Leaves, and then Hint of Pesto. And I'm trying to create some fall colors because I have some foliage, some leaves, branches, things like that. And I thought it would be great to use some of these nature colors, some of these fall colors, and die cut leaves from there. So really fun, very easy to do, and you could do these for backgrounds of cards as well, and I think both are really fun techniques. Really love the Kaleidacolor because you do have the option to pull them apart and actually use them as individual colors. You can't remove each individual ink pad, but if you had, say, a small sentiment and you wanted to ink up in one of the particular colors, you could definitely do that. So it's pretty versatile, and the blend is just beautiful. And there are a lot of different color combinations. And as well, you can get actually a completely kind of blank ink pad and then ink it yourself and create your own custom blends. So I'm actually going to try that in a different video. I think that'll be really fun to do as well. And so that'll be in a future video, creating my custom Kaleidacolor ink pad. But what I've done is I did back my tag with another layer of just white. This ink pad was so juicy that some of the color actually bled through to the back and you could actually see it. And midway through, I thought that I would just leave this as a tag, maybe to add to a gift, but then I thought about it later and I thought maybe I'd like to actually turn this into a card. So that's what I'm going to end up doing. And if that's your plan at the outset, then you don't need that extra tag die cut on the back. I added it because I was thinking I would use it as a tag, and that helps to kind of clean up the back of the tag and give me a place to write. But if you're just going to add this to a card like I will be doing, then you can skip that step. And with fall right around the corner, I always like to have some extra thank you cards because, you know, with Thanksgiving and everything, I feel like it's a good time of year to send out some thanks for, you know, all the folks who I appreciate. So that's what I'll be making today is a nice thank you card to add to my stash. And I'm actually going to emboss a white panel that I've already cut to the size of my card base, which is USA 2, and that measures 4.25 by 5.5. And it just adds some subtle texture, which I thought I was going to leave, but then I wanted to bring in some more of those fall colors. So I squished out some of the Mango Madness and a bit of that Red Magic onto an acrylic block. And I splattered with them to start. And then I'll just smush my panel right in to that ink. One, you know, it's gorgeous ink, so I don't want any of that to go to waste. But two, it just adds some splotches of colors, which I think will be nice in contrast to, you know, the splatters, which are a lot smaller and a little bit more rounded, and so it's just adding to that really nice kind of organic look to that background. And it helps to bring in, I think, some of the same colors that I used on the tag in the leaves and ties it into the background a little bit. So I like bringing a little bit of color into the back, and the embossing folder has a lot of the same foliage and even some florals. So I think it by inking it up slightly, it helps to kind of bring out that design a little bit too. So my last finishing touch will be a ribbon at the top of my tag, and then I will get this glued down, and then my project will be complete. So really, really fast. This is a super fun way to create some custom ombre papers. The Kaleidacolor ink pads are really phenomenal. They come in so many different color variations, and I'm excited to actually try to come up with my own color blend. So stay tuned for that in a future video. Thanks so much for joining me on this one, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fantastic day. Bye!